Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo and I am here with Kristen and Alexandria with their movie Áine. Let's take a look at a clip.
She was doing great. She was healthy. Until she got cancer. Leukemia is 10 to 15 times more common in children with Down syndrome. It felt impossible. Chemo has rotten side effects. Food tastes like metal. The roid rage is real. We chose to laugh. We chose to dance. We chose to sing.
I'm delighted to have you here, Alexandria and Kristen. A big virtual hug from us at NewFilmmakers. Thank you so much for making this incredible documentary. I think the whole world is falling in love with your daughter, Alexandria, and how beautiful she is. But for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Oh, well, thank you so much. So first of all, it's pronounced Áine. We knew that going into it. My husband, it's a Gaelic name, an Irish name, and my husband really, really wanted to go with a traditional spelling, and I sort of lost on that one. So like her whole life, it's like, everyone thinks we spelled Annie wrong, or it's
Oh God!
But the movie is basically about her. So I competed in the challenge last year, and basically, the story is about my pre-pregnancy. When I was basically first pregnant, I didn't even really get a diagnosis. I can't use the word diagnosis. But based on blood work, they told me that she had a high percentage of having Down syndrome. And it was, I was trying to basically put together in 5 minutes that story of from before she was here, what that was like, getting that information from the medical world, through her birth and all of the things that they had said and told us that would possibly happen that didn't. And then she was diagnosed with cancer. And now we're on the other side of that cancer. So we tried to make that all fit in 5 minutes, which was really challenging. But ultimately, we did it.
You did it, and you did, and I mean, I think it's amazing, especially when you're going through so much as a family. Anyway, to kind of put this onto film and share it with the world. Where was the inspiration for you in deciding that I want to turn this into a film?
Well, I think, when she was when I was first pregnant, again, I had such a negative experience from the medical industry. And I really felt like every time I went to the hospital, to my doctor's appointments, that it was just one negative piece of information after another. And I really felt that it, very scared. And I looked to, to find stories of people that had children with Down syndrome, to try to understand what that would be like, what it would look like, not just this is going to be awful and it's going to be terrible and it's going to be this. And so I just felt, I've always had this sense inside me that if I could tell her story or a part of her story and someone were to see it and it would make them feel less afraid, that it would be worth it. And I in no way had kind of any idea how strongly people would respond. People responded very strongly. And in my mind, I was like, this is just kind of my life. Like, I was just trying to show you, like, what does disability mean to me? It means that my daughter is 6 years old and she's still potty training. Yeah. And, and it means that, we do this and we do that, and this is what that looks like. And it's all very normal to us. And it's not scary,
I having said the reaction, I am still getting reaction from people that have seen your film, from us at NewFilmmakers, of how much you have touched them. And just not just obviously your beautiful daughter, but also just you as parents, as a mother, and how inspirational, you are, because, again, outlook is everything. And it's really hard because, I have friends of mine also that have children that have, Down syndrome, and they've also had a negative experience too, but doesn't mean the actual existence for you as a family has got to be negative, and what you create together as a family, even though this medical world is not, I don't believe, up to scratch with just really how to work with families, in a positive outlook, in a positive way. And I think I'm glad that you brought that up. I want to also to speak to our wonderful Kristen. Now, obviously, a great match made in heaven as you co-directed this project. Kristen, how did you get involved with this project?
Well, Alex and I have known each other for a very long time and have worked on different projects together. But this year, Alex had a team put together pre-COVID for us to participate in the challenge. And then when, the world got a little different, we decided that we would be able to do this remotely. And I mean, the conversations, Alex has wanted to find a way to tell her story, and she's sort of brainstormed about maybe that's a film, maybe that's a one-woman show, and this kind of gave us the opportunity to explore it when the question was posed for Easter Seals this year. And then the conversation started to evolve from that initial experience with the doctors that she had, kind of about like what the potential of a person, what like you were just saying about the outlook, how the stories we tell ourselves, how that determines our path and our future, and how we need to, I don't know, be very thoughtful about that. So that was sort of a springboard into a way to tell what has been 6 years of Alex and Will and Áine's lives together in 5 minutes.
One of I mean, I know this is this is something that obviously is part of your talent, Alexandra, and your husband too. But what's so wonderful, I love just the discovery and just how music plays such a wonderful role for you as a family. And it was just captivating to me because, here you are, just teaching your daughter all these amazing things, but it was a fantastic way to see this beautiful young girl express herself as well. Tell us a bit about that, because I just think every parent should be doing this with their children, right? But they're not all as talented as you, obviously, but, I just loved it.
No. Well, my husband is really more the musician that I am, but we've always, we both come from really musical families. And so we've always, sung together. Like when I first met my husband's family, basically Kristen was at my wedding, actually, she knows. They basically put a band together just for the wedding, and like did, probably more than half of the reception. But we always at night, especially now, sing together. And I don't necessarily play any instruments per se. I kind of, I try them out, but I can sing. But he has always introduced instruments to her very young. And, from the time that she was pre-sitting up, we had a piano that he used to put her in a bumble seat. And I think there's actually a piece of that in the film.
Yeah.
And so we always used music as a way to empower her. She, as a child with Down syndrome, she has low tone. And so part of that is she's been in physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech. Well, those two therapies since she was 3 months old. And it's such a great way for her to multitask essentially with her brain. Like music is the only thing that uses all the parts of your brain. And so, she could be physically active. She could, use her voice, all of these things that are often challenges for people with Down syndrome. And, you know, one of the biggest pieces of information that I learned since she was born is that a child who was born in 1983 with Down syndrome had a 20-year life expectancy. And now, you know, it is a typical life expectancy. And that is simply because of the education that we have as people to better care for and early intervention. And so, you know, ultimately, if I can give her tools that she can have agency, you know, over herself, especially when she was sick, you know, in her body. When she was in the hospital, she was just held down so much. She had to have her port accessed, and she was pre-verbal at that time. So you can't explain to her, you have cancer. This is what that means. You know, there are things that we couldn't explain, and she was still having an emotional response, and we didn't want that to get stuck, you know, essentially in her body. And so music was a big part of that, that part of like empowering her physically. So I don't know, it's just always been a go-to for us. And she loves music. She now has like a little karaoke machine, like a handheld karaoke machine. And she basically sings Frozen, and she just like, it's really, if she were here, I would have her come do it for you. But, you know, it's just for all of those reasons and so many more.
I love when you are able to find your gifts, you know, and I'm so glad that she's finding hers at such a young age, and talented. I love seeing her on the drums. It was really, really cool. But Kristen, from a production value, you know, production side of stuff, what was kind of the biggest challenge that you kind of faced in the project? Were there any challenges? Was it simple? What did you kind of experience with that?
I think, well, the easiest way that we could go about it, being on other sides of the country, was for Alex to just give me her iCloud password, which that shows that we have a level of trust.
Oh, yeah, that's a big deal.
To go through the videos and photos she took over the last 5 years, and try to start to craft something from it. We also had sort of some scheduling challenges that week that we were working around. So when that happened, I would get a cut, and then Alex would be recording voiceover, and maybe it's 1 a.m. in Ohio, and she's running out to the car. There's a thunderstorm. She's trying to figure out how to re-record a section of it, stay as close to the iPhone mic that's on the dash as possible. So, I mean, we had some technical challenges, but it's amazing how much we could do together remotely through things like Zoom. And
when there's a level of trust there, when there's like a level of trust with each other, you know what I mean? Firstly, with the iCloud and all, but no, when there's that level of understanding each other and that trust, and I think the most amazing thing is, you know, you've made it possible even under the most difficult of circumstances. And I think that is, you know, I think that's also commendable and amazing, because, you know, this story that you shared, and you know, I know, Alexandria, I mean, you know, it's your precious girl that you're showcasing to the world. And I'm sure you had some thoughts in your head of thinking, you know, this is my baby. You know, I want to, what was that? Was that something that you were concerned about as well? Because obviously it's different to sharing it within your close vicinity, but making a film about it, about your girl, about the world, was that something that you were worried about a little bit, or how it was going to look?
For sure. I mean, I don't want to exploit her. I never want to exploit her, you know.
Yeah.
And we have a social media account where she's like the main character. And it's private for that reason.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the day she gets old enough and realizes that I have, you know, made a film about her potty training, she's going to be livid. You know what I'm saying? And it's on YouTube. Like, are you crazy, Mom? But again, it was, you know, in seeking to answer that question. And honestly, like, it was a documentary. We've never made a documentary before. I've never done it. So I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And I was, you know, we were all basically, Kristen and I, and then Eli, our associate producer was like, he was like, you can't do the cancer bit. It's too much. You can't do all of this. And so, you know, of course that just gave us the extra challenge of like, okay, how can we do it? And we ended up using footage of stuff that, like, okay, first it was, oh, we'll use a bit of this and a bit of this. And then I was also doing a children's yoga training that week. And so my only day to film her, in addition to the little clips I was getting, was on Friday. I had the whole day, and she refused to do anything that I asked her. So we sort of ended up piecing real bits of life together. And there is a level of, yeah, like, this is my life and I'm going to put it on the internet for the whole world to see. That's a little strange. It's even different than if it, you know, went specifically to a film festival and just played, you know, at a festival that was not connected to the World Wide Web, we'll say.
Yeah.
But I do feel that the message is, it's important. You know, if her life can be an example, then, you know, I'm not doing it to exploit her.
No, not at all. I honestly, I think going back to what initially, you know, you felt as a mom, you know, and kind of the reaction and kind of lack of support that maybe you felt you got. What I found about it, I was like, my goodness me, this should be shown to, you know, every family that is, you know, being kind of given this like very different negative story about what they may go through, you know, when they have their child that may have Down syndrome or may have an illness, and just the light, you know, of coming together as a family and bringing together. And yes, there's a lot of things to go through. I thought it was an inspiration. And for anybody that is not going through that, hopefully they grow with education and understanding and empathy as well. And I think you did all of that. And I think that is why your film is so important. For you both, now, I'm sure you're unloaded with a lot of reaction. We certainly loved having your film at New Filmmakers LA. What has the reaction been for you both? I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, Alex.
Well, you know, the funny thing is my father-in-law sent it to, you know, a bunch of his cronies. That's what he calls them. So that's not my word, that's his. You know, his pals from like whatever, high school and golf league and all these places. But he sent me an 11-page document of quotes from like emails that he'd received back from his friends of what they all had to say. And I mean, I was like speechless. I was just kind of shocked because, again, like I'm saying, like this is my life. This is what my life looks like. I'm just I'm just giving you, in my mind, a window in. You know, I sent it to Kristen and she was just like, wow, there's so many pages.
Wow.
So, and all of the people telling me that they cried, you know, I was just like, really?
But I
guess I'm just in the middle of it. And so I don't look at it like that, you know?
I was going to say that a lot of people, like you're saying, it's a window into your life, but a lot of people, I think, don't know what it's like having a child with Down syndrome, or probably don't even maybe know children with Down, or what the day-to-day would be. And then I think they fall in love with Alex and Will and Áine as a family. And it's just been a lot of positivity surrounding it and questions about, you know, they want to know more.
Yeah, I think Áine, I mean, she is a very, very special, you know, daughter. And, you know, I think I've had a great pleasure meeting many people with Down syndrome. And I think one of the things that is always so beautiful to experience, you know, with people that I know in my world is how much love, how much abundance of love is stemmed out from these gorgeous little beings. You know what I mean? You know, no matter what age, we can learn a lot from people that have Down syndrome about just how they embrace and hold their family. And it's really gorgeous to see just the love that outshines. And actually, I feel in some respects, there's a better expression from people that have Down syndrome about how they show love to someone than people that don't have Down syndrome. And that's something that I recognize. And that certainly shines through in your daughter. She's so gorgeous. You know, really, really. What is next for you both, together or individually?
Well, we're looking to expand on this, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
So I feel like only a very, very thin piece of the story was told. And so basically that's what we're in the works together to do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And obviously you're a dream team here anyway. You know, the dream team iCloud trusting sharing filmmaking duo. But I also found you both very inspirational in just, you know, how, you know, how you share your storytelling with the world. And I just wanted to finalize on this final question. Is there any advice out there for any filmmakers that you have that you could maybe share with our audience?
I think don't be intimidated to just make. Create, use your phone, start to find your voice and what you want to tell, and don't be so encumbered by the technology around it, or, you know, just the world needs to hear more stories from, I don't know, from different voices, and don't be intimidated.
Yes. Thank you, Kristen.
Yes. And I would say, you know, in addition to that, a lot of, like, with our film, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, there's a flaw there, or there's a flaw here. And no one else sees that, you know, very much what Kristen was saying, just do it. You know, the more you do it, the more you're going to learn. That's what I love about this challenge. Kristen and I have done some other challenges before, but I love that about this challenge, because you have no idea when it starts what you're going to do, and you do it. And you basically, by committing to do it, you come up with something by Sunday. You know, it's magic. It's alchemy. It's like, just make decisions. You just have to get out there and shoot it and make decisions. And it might not be perfect, and that's okay, because you're going to learn something that you'll take to the next project.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll meet people, and the network will expand, and you'll be touched in ways that you wouldn't otherwise.
No, I love
that. They continue to make things with each other for years and years to come. Alex and I have known each other for more than a decade, and we've made quite a few things. So yeah, it's a good team. Finding your teammates.
It is it is when you find that team, it's really, really vitally that, you know, you can keep continuing to make stories together, because, you know, it articulates in the film. It really does, in the films you create together. Well, listen, thank you both very, very much for being part of this, and please keep bringing more movies to us, and thank you for giving us a tiny little peek hole into your world, and inspiring us. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.